So here I am in another hotel room, this time in the city of Xi'an in China. Xi'an is actually the original capital city of China, the start of the Silk Road, so very historical. Let me show you. Now, China has been absolutely amazing. One of the things that stick out is their construction of their buildings. It's absolutely massive. I'm on the 21st floor. Let me zoom in there a bit if you can see that. But their buildings just go on forever. The construction just goes side by side, line by line. It's just unbelievable. Nothing like in Europe at all. Where Europe probably builds down, low, and across, they build up. Obviously because of their population, but it's spectacular. And I'm still waiting for Man United this weekend. Let me just take a seat. Oh, yeah, so I'm still waiting for Man United this weekend. Obviously, we've got Forest. Let's get into the team news. Now, nothing really to report. Obviously, Cunha, Sesko missing the game. Oh, sorry, not Cunha. Cunha and Casemiro missing the last game. Again, messed that up. Sesko and Casemiro missing the last game, but Carrick did say they'll be back, so I'm pretty sure they will be back. I think Dorgu finally will get his start. I think he'll go with Heaven. I think he'll come back in as a gesture to the player, how well he's been playing. I think he'll go with a similar front three. I think Ahmad, who's been super off form, I reckon he want to get the job done. I think Mbuemo, Sesko, Cunha up front, and the magnificent trio of Bruno, Casemiro and Kobe. I think Maguire starts. Obviously, Senna Lamons is a rock in the goalkeeping position, and Delo is pretty standard because we ain't really got a better right back than him at the moment. However, that trio in midfield is key. They'll play, and I guess a bit of a leads me into, I guess, perfectly to saying it's Casemiro's last game. Oh, well, not last game, but last home game, sorry. And I think we'll give him a perfect send-off, a send-off he deserves, a professional, always, gave everything for the team. And this season in particular, he's provided goals. He's been absolutely world-class. He's been amazing. I mean, his interview said it all, how he respects the club, how his son's now a Man United supporter. So ultimately, I reckon, he was a successful signing, and yes, in a bit of a crappy era for Man United. I mean, people will probably stick out, or people will probably point out the fact that he said he came to Man United because he loves trophies, and compare that to Real Madrid. Obviously, it's a million levels down from winning Champions Leagues and the Liga, but Man United is a big club. It's a global club. I'm here in China, and I've met people who are absolutely Man United fanatics. I've been to a Man United experience, a mega store in Beijing. They're factually the number one supported club here. You could check that yourself. So Man United, I mean Casemiro, in this era, I think he's done what he's supposed to do, and he's been world class at moments. He's had a couple of world class seasons, and I'm glad that it's ended on a high. Like he said, he didn't want to stay because he wanted to go on a high. So ultimately, I think he's made the right decision. I think we've made the right decision. Obviously his wages are far too high to keep him on. In regards to any other team news, I think it will be pretty straightforward for Forest. Now they've been knocked out the Europa League, and obviously they're safe. So it's a bit of a nothing game for them. And then you could say the similar for Man United. However, we'll probably have that extra motivation because of Casemiro, because it's a last home game, and this is why I reckon ultimately we'll beat them comfortably, and I think it'll be 3-0. I'm going to go for it. It's going to be exciting. I think the players are going to be up for it. And a lot of these players will go on international duty, so their minds will be elsewhere. They've had long seasons, especially for Nottingham Forest in particular, obviously not Man United, but this is why I reckon Man United will do very, very well. And just a quick mention in regards to Carrick. Now, just put, something that Casemiro said, he said, give it to him. Kobe Menu said it in an interview to give it to him. When he walks into the room, with receipts. He could put his medals on the table. Champions League winner, league winner. Some people, we might get managers who are unknown. Yeah, there might be the new thing on, popular thing in European football like Ruben Amorim or even Ten Hag. But sometimes you need someone who players look up to and respect in regards to what they've won. And Carrick is that. He's coming with a demeanor, a calm demeanor. He does things in a way that is calm, collective, methodical. And I think, you know what, ultimately that's why he's been picked for the Man United job. And I'm gonna I've made a new video, I'm gonna drop it soon, about why the transfer window is more important for me than the manager. Now I'm not saying that obviously retracting from the manager not being important, but ultimately I do reckon Man United need to get this transfer window right, because give Carrick a good transfer window and let's see. I think 2-3 year contract. Why not? Why not? You can't do any worse. Iraola was probably, and Glasner were probably the other two managers that came into the frame, but Glasner for me, bit unprofessional, bit all over the place, and he does play that 3-4-3, which is a nightmare. And then obviously Iraola doing extremely well at Bournemouth. However, they have drawn about 16 games, don't score much. I don't know, he's done well, but in a season in the league where it's probably been, a quite poor quality, people say it's been the bottom teams are getting better. Maybe so, but then maybe the top teams are getting worse. One thing for sure is that we're getting better. We're on the upwards trajectory, and I think it's best to give it to Carrick. Give him a transfer window, and I think, you know what, United, not a shoe-in, but United will be competitive next season. It's a lot of excitement around the transfers and who will come in. And I think, it's a positive move. So ultimately, yeah, the game on Sunday, I'll hopefully find somewhere to watch it. I think I'll find somewhere. And let's give Casemiro a good send-off. Let's get Bruno that record. I think you'll get it finally. It's getting a bit worrying. Obviously, only 2 games to go. But he only needs 1 to match it. And obviously, another 1 to break it. Let's hopefully he gets a few more so he can get the actual European record. So, yeah, Man United, Sunday, we'll get the job done. See you later.